Hi, welcome to the Elyse DeLucci Show. I'm Elyse DeLucci, your host, and welcome to my podcast. This is the first episode of my brand new podcast, and I'm so happy you're here. We're in the glamorous confines of my living room, darling. And I'm so happy that you're joining me. So you might know me from TikTok. You might know me from stand-up comedy. You might have seen me in the clubs doing stand-up, or you might know me even from the corporate world in corporate America where I work. And if you do know me from where, don't tell anybody. I don't need them knowing about my secret life. You know what I'm saying? But no, so, I'm a single mother, divorcee, living in Manhattan with my two small daughters, my two British children. And that's really it. That's who I am. That's my life. And, how this whole thing started, why I have a podcast, how I'm on TikTok. I owe it all to the pandemic, I guess you could say. At the start of March 2020, the most fabulous year ever, snore. At the start of March, obviously the world shut down. Everybody starts working from home. Everything's closed. Everything in New York is just a muck. I live somewhere near the hospitals, and so people, doctors and nurses are walking around with garbage bags. Everything's so depressing, and we're all confined to our houses, right? So my youngest sister's like, you should join TikTok. At least the clubs are closed. You can't do stand-up. Join TikTok. Talk to people on TikTok. And I'm just like, really? Another medium for me to learn? I feel like almost I'm too old for that in some regards. Like how many things that I'm going to have to join and learn and update and post. And then I do TikTok. I do a couple of videos. They're okay. And then I start to get a couple of followers and I start following people. And I'm realizing, oh my God, this is so fun. Like Facebook is sort of like a watch me do things, look at me, how fabulous I am. And TikTok's like, let me put my hair down and just tell you my whole life story. Make yourself a stiff martini and listen up, broads. And I start doing TikTok and then I start getting a following and one thing leads to another. And then one day on TikTok, the girls are like, you know what? I think you should do a podcast. I think you should talk about a podcast. I want to hear what more you have to say. And I'm like, really? You do? Fabulous. Because nobody else does. Where's my mother? She's supposed to call me back. It's been 3 days, please. But yeah, so this podcast is going to be a weekly podcast. Every new episode is going to drop on a Tuesday. And we're going to talk about everything. Life as a single mother, dating as a single mother, divorce, children, relationships, food, dieting, plastic surgery, should you not? What is it? Cool spa or the knife. I think these are important things we need to talk about. And then just relationshipy things. What should you wear on a first date? Should you when do people sleep with each other? Which I'm actually not an advocate of that. Show them a little shoulder and don't give it to them. A famous quote Gypsy Rose Lee said. If you never saw the movie Gypsy, I totally recommend. It's one of my favorites. But anyway, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about women's things, funny things, women's things to keep us connected. We're living in this weird time right now where everybody's separated and it sucks. And aside from that, even when the world is on, everybody's walking around with their faces in their cell phones. You go out to dinner with somebody from Gen Z and they're not even speaking to you. It's like you have a body in front of you, but nothing else. They're just on their phones the whole entire time. It's horrific. Why shouldn't us moms and older girls have a little bit of fun? Well, we should have the fun too. So here we are. We're doing our digital thing and we're on a podcast. I'm also known on TikTok, I should say, as Elyse, your new internet best friend. And I kind of feel that that's pretty much true. Everyone needs a best friend. Living in Manhattan is great. I'm by the way, I'm born in Brooklyn. I'm raised in Staten Island, but I moved to Manhattan when I was like 21. I was like, see you, mother, I'm never coming back. So I moved here, and the city's so great because we're all on top of each other. It's a city that never sleeps, and it's so busy. But one of the things about the city that you really kind of only know unless you live here is that you don't really know your neighbors. Like the show Friends, wonderful and everything, but not true. I have an old broad living next to me. I think I said hi to her twice in 10 years or whatever I'm here. Nobody really knows each other. So it's always nice to feel like you could connect with your friends. And as we get older, my God, I have such a nice group of hardcore girlfriends, but everybody's busy. They're married. They're doing schoolwork. They're doing housework. They're doing jobs. They got 17 kids they're trying to feed at night. Nobody's talking on the phone anymore. We're lucky if we do a group text, and a group FaceTime is just ridiculous to get together. So this is my thing. Everyone needs a best friend, me included. I'm really doing this selfishly, to be honest. I just want a couple of girlfriends to go out with. But anyway, So that's what we're doing. That's what this whole podcast is about. And I feel that, like, I could just sit here and talk, but that's boring. So I'm going to try to have a format. Like every week I'm going to have a topic, say it's dating or whatever, dating after getting out of a long-term relationship or something. And then we're going to have questions. I'm going to take questions from my TikTok audience. Are these girls thinking about anything that they want to have answered by me? And if I can't answer them, maybe my girlfriends will have an answer. And if I can't answer the question, nobody else can answer the question that you're asking me, I'm just going to pose the question to you all, and we can think about it and we can discuss it, because who doesn't love Q&A stuff, right? Also, I think, something else that's kind of good that I think I should do every week is a fact of the day. Like here's a fun fact. Here's a fun fact. For all the shit your husband gives you about how much you talk, right? Well, tell him this little fact. The average woman speaks 20,000 words a day. 20,000. We speak 20,000 words a day. Do you know how many words the average man speaks a day? Just take a guess. 7. That's right. Less than half. So every time he's gnawing your ear off, shh, stop talking. Shh, shh, shh. You know what you say? Listen, biology, baby, I speak 20,000 words a day. You can't turn off the faucet. It's not working. That's what you just got to tell them. Facts of the day. I like a fact of the day. I love those calendars. They give you a little fact. Useless information. I love it. I want to do every week a quote of the day. A quote of the day. I like quotes. People used to send them around a lot. I feel like it was maybe before text message. Oh, let me send you this quote. Look at this love quote I have for you, honey. Or girls would have their female empowerment quotes. Or remember AOL? AOL, like you'd have your little profile, and then, I think you'd put a quote in there. I don't even know what my quote was. It was probably something ridiculous, probably something absolutely ridiculous. But that's basically it. That's going to be the format. That's the format. We're going to do a topic. We're going to do questions and answers. We're going to get into some topics that I think that are important that we should talk about. IUDs, for example. IUDs. Which one are you on? Because honestly, the non-hormonal one, I just can't. I feel like I'm getting my thing all month long. It's crazy. It's like my period has Tourette's. I don't know what's happening, when it's coming, when it's going. It's a lot. It's a lot for me right now. Okay. All of these things I think are good for us to talk about. And occasionally I'm going to have a guest. This is a solo podcast, but I am going to have a guest occasionally. Maybe a friend to talk about these dating questions with, maybe some of the fellow girl comics that I know and love and are hilarious. And when you get a few funny people in the room, oh my God, that laughter is just contagious. And I think when you're listening to this podcast and you're driving to work, or you're cooking your 1,000th meal of the day, or maybe you're just trying to have a little girl time in the bathtub with your headphones on, tuning all your kids out, there's nothing better than listening to something that's going to laugh. And honestly, like, how many Cardi B songs are you going to listen to on the radio, right? So that's that. So anyway, I'm going to start my first podcast, my first official podcast next. I don't know the topic yet. What a train wreck I am. I'm like, I'm having this podcast. I'm going to talk about all these random things. And I don't know when it's coming out or when I'm doing or where it's going to be, but I'll keep you posted. No, I do know. This podcast is going to be dropping new episodes every single Tuesday. I'm going to keep you posted on where you can find the podcast, but it's going to be on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. And I will keep you updated on my TikTok for stuff, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But I'm going to close this introduction episode out with a quote, and it's from the late, great Ruth Bader Ginsburg that just passed away. And what was her quote? I have it right here. It says, "Waste no time on anger, regret, or resentment. Just get the job done." Waste no time on anger, regret, or resentment. Just get the job done, by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think that's a great quote. Anyway, I'm Elyse DeLucci. Thank you for listening to my first introductory episode of the Elyse DeLucci Show. You can find this podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, probably on iTunes, and anywhere else that you can find it. I'll keep you posted on TikTok. Follow me on TikTok at Elyse DeLucci. Okay, you can follow me on Instagram if you want, at Elyse DeLucci. You can check me out on my website, which I never update, ElyseDeLucci.com. But for the most part, listen on the podcast. We're going to have a great time. Make yourself a stiff drink for next Tuesday, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.